what are the best premium decks at the moment for Cardfight Vanguard? This is probably one of the best times of the year we talk about, I guess, where decks are in the premium format and kind of see what is expected for the BCS season coming up very, very soon, starting in, I think, November. Premium is, at the moment, at kind of like a stale period. There's not any new support. The support would be from the standard sets, the divine sets, but yeah, it doesn't really change the fact that a lot of these decks are actually very similar to what I would rank in the previous video, although there are a few things to consider. Is that if people start to think a certain way, then decks have more viability in the format. So let's go through it. There's not actually a lot to, I guess, talk too deeply on because the format hasn't really changed from the Springfest season. So the best deck in the format at the moment, well, one of the best decks is Katrina, Neonectar. It did get the Stride deck set, and that means that the availability of Katrina is more available than it was before. Try to find like $45 Katrinas is really hard, and now that with the Stride deck sets, well, the premium deck sets out, there's more availability of it, which means that more people will play it. So I think Neonectar is really strong at the moment. Bermuda, I think Highlander is still a really strong deck. There's a few weird decks going around like Siana Gize, a few creative stuff, and you know, Riviere is still a really strong aggressive deck as well. And sometimes, you know, if you get rolling, you go first, you just absolutely blow your opponent out of the water and you just win BCS. That's just how it is. So I think Bermuda is a formidable deck at the moment. Lots of variety in terms of deck build, and you know, a deck to look out for. Dark Regulars, I think again, it is a deck that is unchanged. NLK is still a formidable deck. You need to know how to play it, otherwise you get absolutely demolished. Aquaforce. Aquaforce is just okay. I think it needs something else to break it and to kind of jump a tier. So I guess like decks in S, A, and B tier are decks that I would bring to a regional. C, D, I won't put F. I think F is pretty negligible, but I think B is like the brink of what I would bring to a regional. And then everything else is, I would probably play it at locals or something. Tachikaze is probably the same. It's an undiscovered clan. I think those who know Tachikaze and, you know, find the secret source, then, you know, it gets better, right? Is this Mega Colony? This is Mega Colony, right? Because this is Great Nature. So Great Nature, again, I think is a deck that I probably wouldn't bring to a regional. But if, you know, some magician comes out with like a broken deck list, I'll probably play it. I really like, you know, Great Nature, and the aesthetics is really cool. Gridora. I think Darkface is like a sleeper, and it could probably be here. But I think if you're playing a hand-oriented deck, you absolutely blow this out of the water, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. It's really good if the format is superior core heavy, and, you know, there are no like gatekeepers against you like Highlander. Highlander, anything Bermuda, you're a sitting duck. And I guess that's why I put it here, because half the decks in S and A are probably going to beat you, and then the other half you're going to beat. So it's like 50-50. If your matchups are good, then the deck really shines. So I'll put it there. Gears, I think if you're playing Crest Jet, I think it's pretty strong. There's a lot of decks going around. I know some placed in BSF, and I think the deck played by someone really good will see results. Granblue, one of the best decks in the format. Pretty much every support is for Stoicaea as Granblue support, and it's just really strong. Very dynamic deck, very flexible, pretty much does whatever it wants to do with, yeah, like you literally can't stop it. Granblue is just so strong, has a lot of things going for its engine. Yeah, nothing more to say there. Narukami. I think Narukami's alright. I think it's an okay deck. I would probably place it with Ghidorah, maybe. I think these other decks just beat it. But yeah, it's like Brinking A, I think. Maybe, yeah, I think it's Brinking A. There's not a lot of results for it now, but it's still a strong deck. I think it's a deck that I would probably bring to a regional. But there are other decks in the format that I would rather play instead. Pale Moon. I think Pale Moon needs a lot of help. The deck is completely outclassed by a lot of these other decks. It does good defensively, but offensively it struggles. So at the moment it is kind of sitting here. Might change with the crest, who knows. But yeah, it kind of sits under the B tier. So I would probably not bring it to a regional at the moment, unfortunately. This is Link Joker. Link Joker is, I think it pairs well with Ghidorah. Again, it's a deck that if your opponent plays like Neonectar, you get screwed. If your opponent plays Granblue, then you know Granblue has a really hard time. But if you verse Highlander, you just auto lose, and that's just not great. So I think it has the same factor as Ghidorah. If it has really good matchups throughout the day at a BCS, I think it's really strong. Spike Brothers. I think Spike Brothers is formidable. It probably would be a deck that I would play. I know that a lot of Spike Brother mains know how to pilot this deck. And there's like, you know, I guess different creativities with like grade 3s that you can run with Rising Nova. There's a few other deck builds out there as well. So I think, you know, Spike Brothers has the potential to jump up a tier if it's put into the correct hands. This is DP. DP is okay. Sometimes it just wins. You know, you one-shot somebody, you just win. I know that there's a Grand Gallop deck that was floating around during the BSF season, which was pretty spicy. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool deck. What's this? Shadows. Shadows has what? Crest-Luard, RFD. I think, yeah, I would probably place it in A. I think Crest-Luard is undiscovered, but is Crest-Luard any better than any of these other decks? I don't think so. So I would probably put it here. RFD is pretty good. Obviously, it got the premium deck set, so availability of RFD is higher. The V counterpart is pretty accessible to get, so you know you might see more RFDs in the BCS season. What's this? Genesis. I think Genesis is pretty good. Obviously it has Regalia. It also has a Fenrir deck out, or Fenrir control. I think that deck is... I don't think anybody wants that deck in the format, to be honest. Like, Melissa is like a really toxic card. But obviously we don't have the premium results, or the results yet, to be able to warrant a ban on that card, or get that card restricted. But Fenrir control... in a format where it's 35 minutes, no extra time, and double loss, that is like, that's really strict on Fenrir. And if your opponent even plays mildly slow and you're playing like super speed, like you're gonna cop the hard end of, you know, that situation. I think it's really bad to bring Fenrir control. And especially if people recognize what the deck does, like playing just even average speed makes it really hard for you to, I guess, go through the tournament really well. And Fenrir control is, yeah, I don't know, like a lot of decks you just slam and jam and your opponent just dies, and that's just the end of the story. Unconditional 5 attacks with Neonectar and has a way to like countercharge, like that's just it, man. So yeah, that's that. What's this? Angel Feather? Yeah, Angel Feather needs help. Doesn't really have much going for it. Yeah, it's pretty much in the same boat with like a lot of these other decks. Is this Golds? Golds, right? Yeah, because that's Royals. So Golds is sitting here somewhere, I think. Gurgit's strong, and I think if people build Gurgit correctly, I think it could jump a tier. But yeah, you have to like kind of compete with like a lot of these other decks. Granblue especially. Granblue will just eat you alive. And there's not really much you can kind of do about it. But I think Gurgit has a lot of potential, especially if you put time and I guess the investment into the deck to make it really good. This is Nubatama? Yeah, because the cloud ones would be Kagero, right? So this one's Murakumo. So Shunui, Crest Nui is one of the best decks in the format at the moment. Pretty much going hand in hand with Katrina and Granblue. We've seen the story already. Really strong in standard, really strong in premium. Just dominate is a really strong mechanic which really fulfills what this deck wants to do. Sekai and Furai are just really strong rear guards, and Mizukaze is a really unfair card. I think, yeah, Shunui just has everything. Really aggressive, really strong deck. This is OTT. I think OTT with Popo sometimes can just scam you wins. Yes, it probably would be a deck that I would bring to BCS. And yeah, I think it's sometimes you just catch your opponent off guard, you play a long game, and then you just win, you deny resources, and then just shoot them from like 3 to 6, 2 to 6, check a bunch of crits. And sometimes, if in the early game, you check Amaterasu's and you get it like 10k 1 crit to your Vanguard, and you just naturally win, right? So yeah, OTT, pretty strong. Nova Grabs, Victor. I don't actually know where to put this. I think it's like high B, low A. You put it in the hands of someone who knows how to play it. Stephen Lee, for example, it's good, but I think it was a meta call, especially like a lot of people didn't play Neo Nectar. If people play Neo Nectar, then Victor is a sitting duck, really. There might be like another spicy build of it, but I don't know. I don't actually know. But Victor, it's still a deck that, you know, is formidable in the format. I actually did want to play it in the BSF season, but, you know, Katrina was just too strong. Yeah, I think Victor has some potential there. This is Kagero. Kagero, is this Kagero? It is Kagero, right? Yeah? It looks like Kagero. Yeah, Kagero. Needs help. It needs a lot, and I think it's probably one of the poorer decks in the premium format at the moment. Murakumo. What does Murakumo have? Yasue, Shunui. That's about it. I think Murakumo also needs a little bit of help. The History Collection Retrained Stride gave it a little bit, but I don't think it gave it enough. Still dies to Honolly, and yeah, that's just how it is. And Royals. Royals has Jewel Knight. I think Royals is okay. Has the Jewel Knight engine. Jewel Knight deck set is out as well with Christine's. I think this deck, if it's built correctly, played properly, it may pose a threat. So I think it's a formidable deck to bring to BCS. And yeah, that's pretty much the tier list for premium. Nothing really has changed from the upper end, I think. Some decks have dropped a tier, some decks have gained a tier. But I think it's purely based on results. And with the Springfest season being very casual, there's a lot of decks like, for example, GC that saw its appearance, a Siana build with Bermuda. There's like a few other, you know, outstanding outlier decks that came out, but that's probably because, you know, a lot of people just want to play the decks that they want to play, and it was tri-regulation. So now that it's fully premium, I think there will be slight changes, you know, come, you know, 3 to 6 months from now. We'll probably see a huge difference in this tier list, probably because of the nature of decks that people will play. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the premium tier list. Nothing has changed too much. If you guys like this video, pop a like, comment down below what you guys think of the premium format at the moment. I know it's a little bit stale, needs a bit of support, needs a bit of love, but you know, hopefully Bushiroad will give that to us very, very soon. If you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.